with a number of key players close to suspension?
I think it'll test everybody's squad, and I think I answered the question last week in terms of a difficult period. I believe every period in this division is difficult and not one to be underestimated. But we're in good nick. We're fit. We're healthy. Yeah, we've got a couple of players that are close to suspensions, but hasn't everybody else. And we'll have to adjust off the back of that. Obviously, missing John Flake's a blow for us on Saturday, but we've got options. We can go 2 or 3 ways. So obviously, I've got to pick the right way to go. But anybody who comes into this team's coming into a decent team that's playing well at the moment.
Has Mo Besic made a strong case to start, given his recent impact?
Yeah, they all have. They all got to be ready to play a part, whether starting or coming off the bench, to give us an impact on the game. To see a game out or to lift us to try and get a result. So they've all done that, and they all have to do that. I think it's just part and parcel of the modern game.
Ollie Norwood goes back to Brighton this weekend. Would he go down as one of your best signings?
Well, there's been some decent ones along the way, and they've had to be because of the success that we've had and the market that we're shopping in. I think everybody realises. I think seventh lowest budget last year in the Championship. To get out of the Championship was fabulous, and we did a deal for Ollie at the time, which suited us. Obviously, he had a couple of promotions under his belt at Brighton and Fulham, and I should imagine he was dreading the call for me in the summer when we got promoted. That thanks very much, Ollie. We're shaking hands, but not the case for us. Been an outstanding player for us, and one of many players that we're delighted to sign and play a big part in our success.
Does he show, like a lot of the players in your squad, that given the opportunity they'll grab it?
Well, they've had to, and if they don't, we obviously have to look elsewhere. So I was always going to give the players the opportunity in the summer. I think it was important that we kept the group together, and they deserve the opportunity to go and produce performances in the division, and they've done that. So, but they know more than anybody. They've got to keep that going. Ollie does, and we're always trying to improve. Obviously, we'll talk about the January transfer window, and I think it's important that every football club moves forward, and we've always tried to do that in every window to improve and lift, and players have got to stay the distance, and they've got to improve and lift their performances, and Ollie's been key to that. And I think if you go right the way through that group, if they hadn't, then they wouldn't be playing at the time. So we're happy with the group, but we're always looking to improve in the right areas without taking a wrecking ball to it.
What have you made of Brighton so far this season under Graham Potter? Neil Maupay has made a big impact for them up front. He was actually a player linked with Sheffield United. Is he one that you looked at?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, we looked at Neil, so and he was a possibility, but all players make their choices, and obviously he chose to sign for Brighton, so he's been a great signing for Graham. It's a powerful football club. I think I just read about a couple of weeks ago that the owner put about £400 million into the football club, so they're a powerful football club. I know a little bit about them. I had a little period of my career down there on the south coast under Mickey Adams when they went back to the Withdean and went back to Brighton, and really enjoyed it. I think looking back, maybe I should have stayed a little bit longer. It was obviously the start of a decent period for them going back to Brighton, and obviously new training ground and the owner coming in, and obviously. It's an excellent football club with a really good manager, a positive manager, and had one before as well in Chris Hughton, who was a really successful manager, but obviously changed the way they played a little bit now. But I think that nobody at Brighton would have any criticism of the job that Chris did. I thought he did an outstanding job in terms of cementing the club back into the Premier League and staying in the Premier League, which is first and foremost the objective for any promoted club to do. But got a lot of good players, and are looking to improve, as we all are.
You go there still unbeaten away from home. Just how big an achievement is that for a newly promoted side? And the test that come now, Brighton, Man City and Liverpool away, it's going to be difficult to maintain that.
Yeah, of course it is, yeah. And, I should imagine every away game we play, everybody will be thinking that away record goes, but not really thought about it, to be fair, a lot. It's just the next game, and we've not changed our approach. We didn't change our approach against Wolves, against Spurs, Chelsea, Bournemouth, all the teams that we've come up against on the road. We've not really changed our approach, and we won't do on Saturday. But they're a good side. They can turn anybody over. They have done. They've had some outstanding results. A real difficult test for us. And come 5 o'clock on Saturday, if we've kept our unbeaten away record, we'll be delighted because we'll have had to play well again.
Yes, to follow on from that, I suppose it could be one of those days where the home team has another off day, as has been a theme over the course of the away start to the season.
Yeah, everybody looks at it differently, don't they? I mean, we first and foremost, out of possession, have to do a job on the opposition. Whether that means us being good at that job in stopping the opposition playing or them having an off day, that's obviously up for debate. And then the other part of it is that we've got to go and try and pose problems for the team in possession, and we've managed to do that. So I think that's just generally part and parcel of the game, how we try to play it. But I don't think our first thought is as I said all along, is being defensive. We've got to do things to win the ball, which I think are basic, fundamental things that any team has to do. Whether they're Liverpool, Man City, or whether they're us or Norwich or Villa, newly promoted sides. You've got to be aggressive. You've got to win tackles, races, and headers, and that allows you to play the football that you want to play. And recognising yet again that Brighton, we're away from home. That Brighton are going to have a lot of the ball, as we did against Newcastle and against Villa. So how do we break that down, and how do we stop them from hurting us? So I think that's just general part and part of the game.
You alluded then to the great job that Chris Hughton did. Is that the main difference between Hughton and Potter then? They're perhaps a little less direct and more possession based under Potter than they were under Hughton?
Different, yeah, of course. I mean, you look at the stats and they have, but Chris has given them the platform to maybe go again. And who's to say that Chris wouldn't have changed the way they played if given the opportunity? He's got the ability to do that. He was a top class manager. He's a top class manager, and he did that at Newcastle when he got them promoted. But every club makes decisions what they need to do, and Brighton made that decision and picked a talented manager out of the Championship to be their next manager, and Graham obviously has had a fine start to his Brighton career.
I think just on the away record thing, I know you're not bothered about stats and stuff, but if you don't lose, that would set a new Premier League record for a promoted team in not losing at the start of the season, which would be 9 matches. It's a hell of an achievement. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, from our point of view, of course, and we're going to win. We're going. Not going to win, obviously. Not that.
There's the headline.
Right, yeah. Don't take that as it is, but we're going to try and win. So, but we're up against a really good side. I think everybody saw how good they were on Monday night, and the results that they've had, beating Arsenal away and beating Spurs at home, and they've been good. They've been really good. Close to winning at Liverpool. So we're going to try and win, and if we don't, it's important yet again. I think points in the Premier League, keep saying, are really precious, and is a result of Brighton away from home a good result for us, yeah. But it won't be the attitude that we take, but if it comes to that and we get a result, then that's great, and if it breaks a record, that's fantastic.
How close were you to signing Morpay in the summer?
Yeah, we had discussions with him. There was a number of players. I think there's quite a few of the clubs were sort of fishing in the same pond at the time, and we wanted to improve at the top of the pitch. And obviously Neil was a player that we knew a lot about through his exploits and fantastic performances at Brentford in the Championship.
I realise we're in the start of that month or two, or nearly 2 months, where we in the media sound like the broken record. But just give us an appraisal, if you like. You've mentioned January a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. Are you in a position, or getting yourself into a position, where you might be able to sort of press a few green lights early January to get some players through the door?
I think we'd all like to in this position, but it isn't always as easy as we'd want it to be. But yeah, we're possibly looking at 2 or 3 players coming into the group, not big changes, maybe a couple going out, but 2 or 3 coming in to give us a lift and a boost in the changing room, and strengthen the squad for the second part of the season. Whether it's sort of 17 or 18 games in the second part of the season, whatever it is after January the 1st, we need to be strong and we need to cover. We need to have serious competition. Players have done fantastically well so far, and yet again, don't underestimate, even if we do bring players in, that they've still got to fight on to get into the team, and that'll be the challenge for any new signing. But yeah, we're actively looking. We'd love to push the button early on, but it doesn't always work that way, and it's not as easy as we'd like it to be.
The papers would have you believe Mason Holgate is a target, is he?
The papers would like it to be that there's going to be 12, 15 players that we will be linked with. There's some, as always been linked with that you think, oh, how do they know about that? And some that you think they're a million miles off. So we'll leave it at that. There's certain positions that we need to look at, need to strengthen. Your head's ticking, I can see it.
Only on the basis of kind of combining 2 themes together. I mean, Tim's alluded to closeness of suspensions, which may or may not happen in the next few weeks. I mean, midfield and defensive reinforcements, is that more of a priority than up front?
Yeah, I would say so. You know, you look at a couple of the boys that we're looking to maybe look to get first team football. Maybe Kean Bryan as a young player, needs to go out and play. So we possibly need to look at Jack's position and with Chris Basham as well, who's been outstanding for us. So of course, and then you look at players that play those positions, and that's where the link's going to be. And in the middle of the park, we've got some really good players and some good options in Mo and Lunny and John Fleck and Ben Osborne, Luke Freeman, Ollie Norwood. So we're okay there. But I think like anything else, you know, things moving target, things happen quickly, and we just have to be ready to go. And if anything happens or we fancy doing something, you know, we have that ability to do it.
Would you be looking for Premier League based players or Championship, whatever, or might you look overseas this time, given the global reaches that you've got now, I suppose?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and the foreign market is one that we could look at. I'm not sure that from a Premier League point of view, we'd have the finances to go and do that. We'll look at the Championship, yeah, again, as we have done with the signings that we've made, and the ones that we feel that can come in and help us. But if I'm possibly looking at it, is it going to be 2 or 3 permanent transfers? I wouldn't think so. So it might be a bit of a mix in terms of players that we get in. There's obviously always a loan with an option to buy as well in the summer. So yeah, ongoing talks between myself and the board. But I've stated that we need to lift and invest, and then hopefully we can make that happen.
This is where I sound like a broken record. It must be all of 2 weeks or something since I last asked about John Lundstram and his contract. Has there been any progress there?
This talk's ongoing with 2 or 3 of them. So we're always looking to reward as well. I think it's really difficult to protect as well, because from our point of view, in terms of budgets and wages, you would obviously be right in thinking that we're one of the lowest paid in terms of the club, and that's not being disrespectful to the owners. That's how we've set up to be, and obviously going off the back of the seventh lowest budget in the Championship last year. So we don't all of a sudden go from, and I've not wanted us to go from one position to another really, really quickly. Now, if we get to that sort of area, it'll take a bit of time, but more of a reward for the likes of Lunny from his performances. And as I said, I think that, no disrespect, and I don't want this to happen, and I'm not trying to move any of our players on, but like the David Brooks situation, I can't look at the player in the eye and say to him that I'd want him to, but when a number goes from one number to another, that you've got nowhere near of getting no chance of getting near, then obviously the next bit is that, well, what is the transfer fee that we can sort of get for that boy? And then obviously, if that number's quite big as well, then you're really held to ransom, and that's unfortunate scenario that has happened to us in the past and might happen to us, and will happen to a few clubs in the Premier League if the big boys come knocking. But more of a reward for the boys and keeping that core group together, because it's important that we do that.
Just finally then from me, suspension obviously with Fleck, but on the injury front, is everybody all right? No,
we're in great shape. We're in fantastic shape. Hopefully we come through today. It's sometimes you shake your head because it is competitive Monday to Friday. We try to make it competitive on a Saturday, but I sometimes shake my head as well with some of the bookings that we pick up for non-contact tackles. And I'm not saying that Basham was a non-contact, but I'm certainly saying Flake was. It was a disappointing decision, and I think that yourselves and people that watch us and our supporters have been possibly a little bit disappointed in the attitude of a few opposition players, in how easy it is for them to go down, and I think really put unbelievable pressure on the referees, which we've always said is quite a difficult job. So we lose John, but we won't change our approach. But yeah, again, as I said, we've got some good options, and we've got everybody fit and healthy at this period of the season, which is great because they've had some work from Monday to Friday, and obviously they play in a very, very competitive league, and yet again, credit to the boys in terms of the work they do, and credit to the staff that go about their business and keep them all very, very healthy and fit.
Because all of a sudden it becomes an unhappy coincidence that you've got these lads on 4 yellers at the most intense part of the season, regardless of the opposition you face, and it's the volume of fixtures you're going to have to play.
Yeah, I don't know when the cut-off date is. Is it the 26th? I'm not so sure. So they've got to navigate themselves through that.
Wanting Boxing Day off.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that the club will want Boxing Day off, and I'm not sure that us and the supporters will. But I've never moaned about that in terms of boys picking up yellow cards. I think it's really difficult that sort of the number that it is now. And in terms of the way the referees make decisions, and as I've said, the way players want to and put referees in a real tough position, and still the cut-off date doesn't really change much, and still the numbers don't really change much. But our approach won't change, and boys are going to have to make tackles. Be competitive, and if they do pick up bookings through that little period, then we have to adjust and get on with it, and I'm sure we'll be fine.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, Andy.
Just a quick one about John Fleck. Is he is a personal disappointment for him, given he's among the goals all of a sudden for you?
Yeah, it's. I think John talked about it in his interview after the game in terms of change of shape really for him. A licence to get forward, even though I thought he should have scored more last year. If you've watched him, he's got really good ability. would you believe when he was a younger player up at Glasgow Rangers, he played at the top of the pitch and scored as well. So more responsibility, and hopefully the confidence of scoring for us this year will kick him on to score more. But it was an area that we needed and wanted more out of in terms of the change of shape. And obviously John Fleck and John Lundstrom have got into some great positions and are scoring some vital goals for us at the moment.
Hi Chris.
Morning.
Just picking up on what you were saying about suspensions and fouls, is that something you've noticed since coming up into the Premier League? Or was it the same in the Championship?
No, it's different. Yeah, it's different. There's players in the Premier League that the ball's not even come to them and they're looking to go down. And they're looking to put the referee in a bad position. And they're asking the question of the referee before they've even dealt with the ball. That's fact from my point of view, what I've seen and the clips that I've got on store.
Some people call it streetwise.
It's not streetwise now.
Would you perhaps have a word with your team to become more streetwise, as people sometimes call it?
No, I want them to play the game that they've been playing in the Championship and they've played this season. That's they've got to go about it. They've got to go about it. Our message to them is that this is us. We're gonna, if the ball comes into a centre forward, he's got to deal with the ball, and we'll try and build play and try and create something off centre forwards, and wide people or whatever it is. So, it's sort of something that's sort of aggravated us a little bit, but it seems very, very common in the Premier League, and it's something that we've not really had to do or deal with a lot in the Championship.
You've got the third best defensive record in the league behind Liverpool and Leicester, who are the top two. Is that something you consciously thought you have to do when you come up?
Well, we have to be better out of possession, better in possession, more structured. I think obviously the change of shape was the reason for us doing that. Counter-attacks is key in the Premier League, how quick they go from one box to the other. And we feel we've just got players that generally love defending and stopping crosses and defending the goal and don't want the ball to go in the back of the net. And we've got a structure behind that, but we pay attention to that, which is just as big a game as being in possession and trying to create. And I think, as always, you've always got to try and get the balance right. Cheers.
Chris, how you doing? Do you think teams are still underestimating you guys to a certain extent?
I've not really took any notice of that, really. I think with the video analysis that is at all clubs, everybody seems to have 3 or 4 video analysis guys, and they'll cut up stuff, and I think everybody knows with the media coverage that we have. In terms of the way we play, I think it's obviously huge. Is the Premier League, and it's studied and analysed, and you see on, look at Sky on Monday Night Football and the analysis that they do and the detail they do. It's outstanding, and you've got top class professionals really, critiquing your performances, which is great and interesting. So I don't think we've been underestimated. I think we've produced some really good performances. I think obviously there is a little bit of lazy journalism on us. I feel, but I said at the start of the season, when you come into the Premier League, you've got to accept all these views of pundits and all these opinions on you, and you just got to get on with it, good or bad, and that's what we've tried to do.
All good? Go on. Good to see you.
Even the ones who'll call you Dyer. Just on the yellow card situation with Ollie and John Lundstrom, with what you were saying, you're not the kind of person or the kind of manager to kind of try and guide them through it. It's a case of if they pick up a yellow card, then that's inevitable. You're not going to try and hide them from it.
No, if there's a tackle to be made, they've got to make that tackle, and they should be all right. They should be okay. It's the game's changed. They're not players that go around 2 foot in players all over the park. You know, the physical, the competitive. If there's a tackle to be made, they'll make it. Unfortunate times, if you're the speed of the Premier League and the athletes in the Premier League, if you mistime it, it sometimes looks a little bit worse than what it is, especially when players are rolling about all over the place for about 5 minutes and then the physio don't get on. That's one of my, quite enjoy that part, because I just go to the physio to the left and go, don't worry about it, mate, you won't be going on, will you? And he 9 times out of 10 he done. He comes jumping up out of his dugout with his bag. And then, lo and behold, player gets up and he has to sit back down. But these things happen. But no, the boys will, as I said, navigate the way through the game. And if they do, they miss a game, and unfortunate for them. But they won't be pulling out of any challenges, and they'll have to play full tilt. We have to play full tilt as a team. Individually and as a team to get any result in this division. You saw that we were off the pace at Norwich, and we were off it, and they were better than us, but we were on it on the second half, and that has to be the attitude right the way through, and it has, because it wouldn't have got us the points that we've got.
If I could just ask you about Brighton as well, you touched on it earlier. I think you played in the first game at the Withdean back in the day. 5,000 were there. I think now they're getting 30,000 in the Premier League. They've come a long way, haven't they, in 20 years' time?
Yeah, it has, yeah. I mean, it was always a big club as well, because obviously I made my debut against Brighton way back in the day, 86 I think it was. And then, so going back, but it's always been a big club. It's a big catchment area. They love their football down there, home and away. In that period that we had at the Withdean, it was sold out. I think the first game back, I think we won off 5 or 6-0. I think so. Getting, you just can't comprehend it, really, can you? Your team is playing sort of what Gillingham to Brighton. It's got to be a good 60 or 70 miles, hasn't it? Away us playing 60 or 70 miles away from Sheffield. So the following that the supporters and the love of the club that they had was immense, and obviously they're at a completely different level to what they were then, but they got through the leagues. Mickey Adams was instrumental in that, in 2 promotions, who obviously I played under and really enjoyed playing under, and he was a fabulous manager, and the way the club is now is obviously set up. It's a big Premier League club now. With sell-out support, and good players, good facilities, and a good manager that'll want to kick on into the top 10, I'm sure.
If I could as well, just ask about Jack Rodwell. There's talk about him being in on trial. Is he in on trial? And how
it's not a trial. Jack's in for a few days. We know about Jack. He's not got a club at the moment. He had a couple of experiences in Italy. As you've seen in the past, David McGoldrick came in for a few days. Jack's looking at us, we're looking at Jack. He's obviously a very, very talented player that obviously should be playing in the Premier League and regular, but one reason or another isn't. But got a really good attitude, and he's in for a few days. So it's basically him looking at us and us looking at him to see how he is in terms of how healthy he is. But he's obviously a talent because of the teams that he's played for, and he's looking for a home, and it's something that might develop along the way.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Dan.
Cheers, Paul.
Cheers, guys. All the best. Cheers, guys. Have a good one.